Good morning and welcome to today's video. Still in Wellington, nice day outside, but unfortunately Wellington's living up to its moniker of windy Wellington, so just for sound purposes sitting inside. Just at the outset, I've got a couple of insights that have come to me just in the last day again, which I'll just quickly run through before I get on to today's main subject. Yesterday I was recording my video at the beach, and I went for a walk and I started talking to a lady there, and as tends to be the case these days, we got into quite a deep conversation about things. But what she did was she mentioned a American lady by the name of Jill Bolt Taylor, and how she'd had a stroke some time ago, which led to quite an enlightenment or an insight on her behalf. And in summary, she's written a book called A Stroke of Insight. I believe that the stroke happened back in the 1990s. This morning, the lady I met sent me a link to this lady's TED talk, and within the first few minutes, a very profound insight came to me as follows. She was talking about the right hemisphere of the brain. So on her left side of her brain had shut down from the stroke, or in the moment of the stroke. And in that moment, her right side of her brain effectively took over. So stimulated, took over, whatever way you want to term this. And she experienced effectively the universe. She was seeing things that aligned very much with what I have experienced through various other means. And one thing she said about the right side of the brain was to do with that's where our understanding of oneness comes from. I did a video on oneness yesterday, a couple of days ago, and when I was in my ayahuasca ceremony in November in Peru, one of the things that had happened, and what I'm getting into here is a little bit of potentially the description could be the woo-woo stuff, but again, this is real. This is real for me, and it has led to me being able to discuss these matters right at this very moment. So in the ayahuasca ceremony, I mentioned doctors assessing me for what I needed for my spiritual ascension or further spiritual journey. And at one moment, I was in a surgery, not a surgery as we would know it. And I had this vision of the surgeons working on or activating the right hemisphere of my brain. At the time, I thought that was to do with my stimulating my creativity, but I think now, just after this insight, on reflection, and in that ceremony, later in that ceremony or during that ceremony, I had such profound awareness of oneness, interconnectedness with everybody and everything, that I rather think part of the stimulation or the surgery was to effectively stimulate further my right side hemisphere, that I could get these really deep insights. So that's an interesting insight I got just from meeting somebody on the beach. And the second thing is that I this morning saw a survey, and the survey was to do with younger people between the ages of 15 and 24. 136 countries had been effectively surveyed, and it was looking at the level of happiness for that age bracket. And the thing that was startling, coming from New Zealand and just more of this Western world side of things, was that out of the 136 countries, Australia, Canada and New Zealand ranked in the bracket of 122 to 133. And I think if that is reflective of what is out there, again, it's a survey, so who knows, but I'll go with those figures just as I speak. I think that's quite tragic. And I thought about that a little bit further, and I thought, well, I talk about happiness occurring in the light. Happiness exists in the dark, but people who are in the dark or distracted or not able to get to an ultimate level of happiness or a better level of happiness, when they're in the dark, the word happiness or the concept of happiness is perhaps just a glimmer, or maybe just a concept, or maybe just a word. So I'm just going to get into today's subject. Today I'm going to talk about music and how it's influenced me. And again, I'm going to talk about it from the perspective of the what's the below the surface. We can all listen to music, and I certainly did for a long time in my life. But below the surface, or deeper into the music, what exists, and how can that impact one's life? I talk about lots of things influencing my life. I'm wearing an indigo coloured shirt today, which I bought at the time that my third eye opened. My third eye being right in there in the pineal gland, or I call it the pineal gland, but either pronunciation is correct, which is where the third eye sits, the chakra, and that's the insights into the, I guess, almost the mystical aspects of the universe. And the wearing of colours is so important. Nature I've talked about, magic, knowledge. I'm going to talk about music today. All of these things add up, and what has occurred is, I believe for me, is what Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist and psychotherapist, talked about a lot back in his heyday. It's a case of what is unconscious, what is below the surface. When that comes into the conscious, that is when you have had a, let's just use the word, an awakening, which I most definitely have had. Right, today's subject, music, and I'm going to make this pretty short. So I'm just going to talk about music and how it's affected me deep in my spiritual journey. When I got on the road driving my motorhome around New Zealand in 2021 and ongoing, I was listening to a lot of music and a lot of songs that I'd previously listened to. But on reflection, or in fact even maybe around 2023, I think, what became very obvious to me was that I was hearing these songs in a new light. See, I use the word light again, in a new light. The words, the music resonated a lot deeper than before. The harmonics, what laid below the whole message of the song. So it's all coming to me on a very deep level. So okay, that's interesting. And new songs were popping up. One I will mention straight up is a song called "Ripple" by the Grateful Dead. Grateful Dead, sort of late 60s, 70s band, hippie era. These guys most definitely partook of many things, including psychedelics. And the song "Ripple," if you do listen to it, is a condensed version of what I talk about. It is talking about the universe and what lays beneath the surface and how that can influence your life. So they've managed to condense that into a 3.5 minute song. Kind of worth a listen, but just to mention again the psychedelics, that's stuff that opens you up to the universe. So they didn't just perhaps sit there one day and make up the song "Ripple" just from a random bunch of words coming together. I strongly suspect they were channeling. They were channeling the universe. So those songs are all happening for me, and then in 2025 I'll mention another musical impact. I was introduced to kirtan music, which I have mentioned in previous, or kirtan meditation, but it's music as well, which I've mentioned in prior videos. And it was that kirtan evening, with the music, with the chanting that goes with it, that I transcended for the first time. So if we tie in the musical aspect of the transcendence, the power of the music, the power of the words, the power of the setting, the power of the meditation, that moment in time I was ready for my transcendence, and it happened. So there's music in there that's had a significant impact upon me. I'll jump into some of the music. This gets quite woo-woo again, so apologies if it doesn't align with your understanding of things. But it's my understanding, and it's my journey, and it's my story that I am trying to relay here. And the ayahuasca ceremonies, there is a lot of music played once everybody is kind of deep into their state. And this music comes from facilitators who have great musical skills, and it also comes from the shamans, and the shamans sing songs of the jungle, or they sing the songs of the plants, really. The songs are known as Ikaro or Ikaros, and they are channeling the plants. So speaking of the Ikaro, they're in a central circle in the room, and you're on the outer circle. They'll start singing, and you're in your state, so deep into your visuals and your insights. These songs that they sing, parts of them are directed directly at you. Bearing in mind you're there with 23 others, lines of the songs, which are not in English, by the way, it is like they are singing the song in your head, or it is like they are sitting behind you, although there's a wall behind you, or they're sitting on your shoulder singing the song. So music very powerful from the shamans, deep into your soul. If it's inside you, it's getting pretty deep. The facilitators singing, playing harps, guitars. It's not rock and roll music, I can tell you that right now. It's healing, songs of healing, really. And just one example would be in my last ceremony in Peru on the first time I went, which was my 4th ceremony, which was just the most blissful moments. A young lady from America who she just had this amazing voice, channeling spirits, and in one moment she sang a song, and it was not the song of a human being she was singing, or it was not a human being singing the song. It was an angel. It was the voice of an angel. It was the resonance of an angel. It was the harmonics of an angel. And at that very moment, my being was uplifted, and I moved upwards, just upwards, slowly upwards. And bearing in mind I'd already seen heaven through my Sapo ceremony, which I've discussed in a prior video, I felt that I was ascending towards heaven, assisted by an angel. So these are very profound moments in time. We can get all of these things through other things, but these are stuff that in an instant changes your outlook. So I'll just jump a little bit further ahead and just try to sum up this whole music situation. And I was always someone who liked music of the 60s, the 70s, and then the 80s was kind of when I was perhaps in my sort of prime or something, of going out and listening to music. And really those songs just resonated with me, but only, I would say, probably surface level on reflection. And there was one song that became my favourite, which was not that well known. It's a song called If You Want My Love by Cheap Trick. So I've always been my favourite, and the way I viewed that song, it was a love song, but it was a song to others. So potentially it was a song that you would project outwards towards others. And it's only just today, actually, that as I was out for my walk in nature, sunny, thinking about magic, listening to music, that I understood that until I was in a position to love myself, although this is something I talk about in my main story, loving yourself, that song firstly has to be a love song to yourself. And once you love yourself, so once everything's come inside of you and you are full of love for yourself, you are then in a position to have this overflow of energy, which in this context is love, that you can give to others. If you're giving love to others when you are not full, you are emptying yourself out. And as you empty yourself out, you become drained, and you have to refill your energy to continue giving the love. But once it overflows, well, it's excess, and you are constantly full. Well, I am constantly full, and the excess energy is available to those who need it. So what I'm saying there is, if you want my love, the love song should have been in the first instance, and now is a song to myself. And once I am in a position, I can then offer that song to others, meaning I can offer the holistic love to others. So all of these insights that I get, and ongoing, it's just flowing in through the crown chakra, and I just can't speak enough of the importance of that third eye opening. Again, you know, I'm talking about things that are of a mystical nature, or in fact magical nature, and unless one has the gnosis, as in the actual experience of it, it can seem to remain fairly theoretical. But I will again say to you, these things are so real and they are so clear to me now that I've experienced them, and it is not something, these things have way too much importance for me to sit here and make stuff up. That's just, anyone who makes stuff up, whether it be consciously or unconsciously, and spouts it out, that's really bad karma. And I understand karma, and it's not going to happen. Bad karma is if one wants bad karma, you know, you've come to the wrong place. Unfortunately, when you hear it's the good karma coming your way. Anyway, I'll leave the video at that and say thank you very much for listening for me today. I have some topics already in mind for my next videos, and I thank you for listening, and I hope you got something from that. I will leave you with enjoy the journey. We will meet when we should. Namaste.